Are you ready for an energy shift? Are you ready for things to finally change, especially if you've been feeling stagnant or this has been kind of a weird month for you? Well, guess what? We get that this week. This is a very exciting week. We have a lot of energetic shifts going on, and there's a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Welcome back to the Astrology Report. My name is Cam White. If you don't know me already, this time we were talking about May 20th through May 26th of 2024. And man, do we have some highlights this week, especially on Thursday. So make sure you at least stick around for this video to watch Thursday because we have a lot to talk about. So we're starting the week off with the first highlight of the week, which is the sun ingressing into Gemini. Gemini season begins, as well as the moon will enter Scorpio and just make a square to Pluto. So the thing I love about the sun moving into Gemini and just really astrology in general is the zodiac signs get their significations from the seasons. And what happens during the spring, like, after Taurus season where everything's kind of blossoming, like, I don't know if you guys can notice, but maybe over the past 2 weeks, there hasn't been any green. I mean, this has been a little bit overshot, but if you are watching the video here, there's a lot more green on the trees here now. But Gemini season is the winds of spring that usher in summer. And so as the sun moves into Gemini, we kind of get that, fresh air vibe. The sun moving into Gemini is less stagnant and less fixated and more curious. It's more energetic when it comes to information. And this is also going to be important because we have so many planets moving into Gemini over this week. And I just think the sun moving into Gemini is kind of heightening our energy a little bit. We're a little bit more curious. We're a little bit more adaptable and changeable. And I think being adaptable and changeable during Taurus season is about nearly impossible. So the sun moves into Gemini. I think that's exciting. But we also have the moon entering Scorpio sometime in the late morning, early afternoon, and it'll just be making a square to Pluto for the most of the day. So when the moon's in Scorpio, again, we're not feeling our best. The moon, rules emotions and safety and how we feel, and doesn't do well in Scorpio. So there is this kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's this kind of contempt or this, feeling very remorseful. And I think as the moon squares Pluto, this could bring up a lot of fear. I've been noticing a lot of people just dealing with fear and heightened anxiety. And I think a lot of that has to do with Pluto and Aquarius. But I think as the moon makes a square to Pluto, there's this kind of inner sense of insecurity, dealing with fears, maybe making decisions based off of insecurity, based off of fear. And I think Monday, what's important about that is just kind of catching yourself doing that. You might have to make certain decisions that are based a little bit out of an insecurity or based out of a reaction. However, at least just be aware, because I don't want you to be super in turmoil and spiraling and make a decision based off of that super negative emotion. You never really want to do that. However, it's not astrology isn't this is bad, so ignore it. It's no, it's bad, or maybe it's uncomfortable, and that's going to be important for you to at least recognize and do something with. And that just might be, maybe doing 20% of it rather than a full 110% of it. So just kind of watch your emotions on Monday. Make sure you're not too down in the dumps and making, decisions or making up stories based off that. Then we get to Tuesday. The only thing we've got going on Tuesday is the moon in Scorpio making an opposition to Mercury and Taurus. What I find interesting about this is Mercury and Taurus can be very stubborn. Mercury being about communication, logic, rationale. It is more focused on beauty. It is more focused on how can we cull up the best, again, think of Taurus. If Taurus is about planting seeds for eventually the fall harvest, it's how can we create the soil and the conditions to best, create a plant that's going to be fruitful or that's going to be bountiful. And I look at the moon in Scorpio opposite Mercury and Taurus is kind of you don't have the right soil or you don't have the right conditions and, woe is me. Here in Denver, it's kind of known you don't want to plant any seeds before Mother's Day because, we might get a snowstorm. Of course, it's after Mother's Day at this point. But I think the moon opposite Mercury is just kind of we know what's best logically, rationally. We know exactly what to do, but emotionally we're having this opposition to it. It's just kind of I need to go till the garden. I need to go do this work that, if I'm outside and I'm working with my hands, I'll feel good, but I just want to be shallow right now. I want to be remorseful. I want to toil in my negative emotions. And it's easy to do that. When, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. And when you're in a situation where you're feeling negative and you're feeling a little bit, sad for yourself, it is hard to get out of that. It's the first step is always the hardest. And I just think on Tuesday, there's this battle between your emotions and your mind of I know what's going to be good for me. I know what's going to be best for me. And I know I can do it. But right now I just feel this resistance emotionally to it. And I think Tuesday offers an opportunity to take that good first step to hey, challenge yourself to get out of that funk, to make that first hard step because all the other steps after that become easier. Then we get to Wednesday, and on Wednesday, the moon will make a trine to Saturn, and then it will go opposite Uranus. what I find interesting here is you guys may not pick up on this, but because I do this every week, every day, for a long time, when the moon would enter Scorpio, it would first go opposite Jupiter. It then would sextile Saturn, and then it would, or trine Saturn, and then it would go opposite Uranus. Now, how this is kind of working is we get this moon trine Saturn opposite Uranus, and then Jupiter's not even involved. I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting to see these longer term transits kind of slowly switch positions and how the moon relates to them. I just think it's interesting. But the moon in Scorpio making that trine to Saturn, again, I've been talking about this for a while, and I will continue to talk about it all through the rest of this year and even into a little bit of next year. But Saturn in Pisces, Saturn's about that discipline. Saturn's about maturity. It is about burdens, and it is about restrictions. Restrictions that you either take on yourself or that are forced upon you. And if Saturn in Pisces, again, Pisces is like the inner spiritual part of ourselves, the yin part of ourselves that says, like, again, I keep comparing it to Sagittarius because Sagittarius is so much more of like, adventure is out there. What's our point B? Let's go over the next horizon. Pisces is like, okay, like, again, who do we have to be in order to achieve those things? Like we have to, the outside world is just a reflection of the inside. And Saturn is saying, hey, like, where are the limits on the inside? Where are you actually being restricted on the inside? Where can you be more disciplined on the inside? And I like this moon in Scorpio. I love the moon in Scorpio trining Saturn place transits because it's so much of like, hey, you might feel like garbage right now. What are you going to do about it? Are we going to sulk? Are we going to toil? Are we going to spiral? Or can we use this, this time? Can we use this experience to get more clarity, to get more serious about how we treat ourselves? Because again, it's so easy to be hopeful or have optimistic attitudes about everything on the outside, but it's really like, how do we feel on the inside? And I just think that moon trine Saturn is a good connection of like, hey, this is the work. I made a video about you could either be right or be happy. And I got a lot of comments like, Cameron, what's the work? I can't tell you what your work is. The work is being able to acknowledge what the fuck your issue is, where it stems from, and take actions that address that issue. That might be like you have a self-worth issue, and that might look like you undermining yourself or self-sabotaging yourself from success because that doesn't make sense for you. And what that work is let's establish that first experience you had probably as a child, somewhere between 0, 5, maybe 6 years old. And let's look at that situation. And you were a kid, you made a story about why you weren't allowed to, show off fun things to your parents, or you weren't allowed to express joy as a child. You made up a story about that because you were just a small child and you had to survive. But you're an adult now, and that story might have helped you. That story you made about yourself might have helped you as a kid, but it doesn't help you anymore. And so you got to do the things that will change that story, which is, again, getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that, again, that you normally wouldn't do. That might look like, again, if it's like a self-worth thing, like doing things that like are worth it for you, and not just like buying luxury goods, but like, is it just cleaning your house? Is it literally just like setting better boundaries, or not letting other people's opinions of your work like affect you because you're proud of it and it's not really for everybody else? That's the work here. Like, you got to figure out what the work is for yourself. I can't bottle feed you guys on what the work is. Like, we're all different. We all have different stories. But anyway, the moon will trine Saturn. This is a good time to catch up with that work of like, okay, here I am. This is my reality. This is how I feel. Am I going to do anything different about it? And then the moon goes opposite Uranus. This is an excellent time for a breakthrough. This is an excellent time of getting out of your comfort zone, for, again, breaking up that mold, for just like, again, Uranus is revolution and liberation. There's this opposition here where, again, it could kind of like turn a little bit more into a spiral, or again, it's like you try to get out of your comfort zone. The universe kind of gives you a challenge and you go, oh, well, I had one obstacle, so now I'm going to give up on everything, which is so dumb. Like, you're going to have obstacles in life. Like, I'm starting to get pissed in this video. You're going to have obstacles in life. And it's up to you to decide whether or not that obstacle is so impenetrable, is so you can't overcome it, or you're just going to say, it's an obstacle and I'm going to get around it. I'm going to get through it. That's your choice. That's the story you make about whatever it is. And so with the moon going opposite Uranus, if you push yourself, if you challenge yourself, you can get through that. But if you have one little tiny speed bump and just say, oh, that's it, I'm throwing in the towel, well, you're never going to get anywhere. Like, you have to get, like, this is what's fun about the moon in Scorpio is like, you're not in your comfort zone. So if you're not in your comfort zone, you might as well do the things that aren't comfortable, because guess what? You ain't. Even if you try to recluse and get into that comfort zone, you're probably not going to find it when the moon's in Scorpio. It's really hard. Maybe unless you have moon in Scorpio. But here's the other thing on Wednesday. The highlight for Wednesday is we have the sun making a trine to Pluto. Love Sun trine Pluto. In my birth chart, I have the Sun trine Pluto. It's the tightest aspect that I have in my charts by like 2 minutes. That's why I guess a little bit of why I am the way I am. Here's the deal. The sun is our vitality and it's our willpower. When you have Pluto, which is about like power, which is about like fear, but it's a trine. These two things are working in harmony with one another. This is why I'm wanting you to push yourself and challenge yourself out of that comfort zone, because the sun trining Pluto is a opportunity to really feel that empowerment. And I hate using that word empowerment. It's such a vague term that is so overused nowadays, but Pluto makes the small things big and makes the big things small. And I think if the sun is our just straight up our vitality, our energy, it's not like Mars, where Mars is more of like, what am I ambitious for? What am I driven towards? Like literally, what am I putting my actions towards? The sun is just more of kind of like your general vibe. Like fire sign sun people are a little bit more high vibe. Water sign people are a little bit more like chill, adaptable, or kind of go with the flow. Air sign people are very like bing, 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 like kind of all over the place depending on what's going on here. But the sun making a trine to Pluto, I think, is an opportunity to say like, wow, I just made something I thought was really big into something really small, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. How often in your life have you done something that you realized, I neglected doing this one thing for 5 weeks, for 5 years, whatever it is, and then you did it, you're like, that was nothing. I wasted so much time making this huge story and this huge scenario over something that was small and that was super doable. And then Pluto makes the small things big. What is that small thing that you can do, that you're avoiding or that you're neglecting, that can make the biggest impact on yourself? That's what's fun about the sun trine Pluto, is like, man, I did this little thing. Maybe for you, that is literally just getting out of your house and going to the grocery store and making eye contact with somebody. Like, I'm just making up an example here. I can't, again, speak for you guys, but you do something that is very minuscule and it ends up becoming this big thing for you. And that sun trine Pluto is like going to vitalize you. I don't know what the fucking word is here. But it's going to feel good. So I want you to lean into the work on Wednesday. I want you to challenge yourself on Wednesday, because that sun trine Pluto, that's going to feel good. So then we get to Thursday. There's so much going on Thursday. Just bear with me as I list everything. There's a lot going on here. Number one, the moon transits. The moon will go opposite Venus while it's in Taurus, and it will go opposite Jupiter while it's in Taurus. By the way, Venus and Jupiter are at 29 degrees as this happens. The moon will then enter Sagittarius. Then we have the full moon in Sagittarius, okay? So full moon, heightened emotions. Then Venus will make its conjunction to Jupiter. Awesome, we love that. Then Venus and Jupiter will both sextile Neptune. That's nice. And then Venus ingresses into Gemini. So let me say that again. Moon goes opposite Venus and Jupiter. Moon goes into Sag, full moon. Then Venus conjoins Jupiter, Venus and Jupiter sextile Neptune, and then Venus goes into Gemini. It is literally one thing after another on Thursday. Thursday's a big day. What I like about Thursday is I just love how much is going on here. It's kind of like, it reminds me of a slot machine, like, because on my Instagram reels, we're all on fucking Instagram at this point. Maybe you're not because you're like 80 years old, but that's fine. On Instagram, or at least in popular culture right now, degenerate gambling is very popular. Like, everyone's just gambling, and it's a trend to watch people just bet, money and lose it. And I keep getting degenerate gambling things because I just think they're funny. And I watched this reel the other day where this guy was just playing the Buffalo slot machine. If you know the Buffalo, you know the Buffalo. Anyway, he like pushes a button and all of these things happen. He's like, I don't even know what's going on, but like, yeah, this is good. That's what Thursday reminds me of. Is like the moon in Scorpio. Like, let's say you're at the casino, you're down to your last $100. You slip it in there. You hit the Buffalo. You do max bet. All of a sudden, bing, 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 all these things happen. You don't even know what it fucking means at this point, because it's just like, it's like they make them confusing. I don't understand how people understand slot machines, because every time I'm like, I'm so overstimulated, I'm numb. But then it's like, you win 15 free spins and double bonus extra points, Buffalo herd running around everywhere. That's kind of the vibe on Thursday. And when the moon's in Scorpio and we're kind of, again, like we're down in the dumps, that moon opposite Venus and Jupiter is like, there is something good. I don't know if I'm shaking the camera here. Venus is going to conjoin Jupiter. They're both in Taurus. I'm not the biggest, like, and they're at 29 degrees. A lot of people are like, this is the anoretic degree. I don't know if I subscribe to that all the way. The way I like to look at 29 degrees is, let's say this is my cup of water. I look at 29 degrees as like the water is at that top. It is a full glass of Taurus, and it's Venus and Jupiter. This is not just any Taurus water. This is Venus Jupiter water. This is like, secret spring water somewhere in the middle of the tropical forest that is, blessed by God, and, it's going to cleanse your soul of all of your sins. I think as the moon goes opposite Venus and Jupiter, even though emotionally we might be a little distraught, we might be a little bit resistant, we might be a little bit more resentful, as it goes opposite Venus and Jupiter, it's like, you can't let that ruin a good thing. Venus and Jupiter are like the two good planets, and they are conjoining each other in Venus's home sign. I don't want to say it doesn't get better than this, but this is pretty damn good. And are you really going to let yourself, everyone hates the guy that like ruins the vibe at like an event. Like, let's say, for example, you got a baby daddy that makes it about himself, and you have like a 5-year-old's birthday party, and he gets all upset because whatever. Everyone fucking hates that guy. That moon opposite Venus Jupiter is like, even like, let's say you're not that guy. Let's say that guy's around you. Are you going to let that douche like kill the vibe of your child's birthday? Why would you do that? Like, yeah, that sucks, whatever. But like, let them deal with that. I really look at the moon going opposite Venus and Jupiter as, are you really going to let your own emotions or your lack of control dictate how you like feel about something that's probably pretty good? Because the moon, I just spit on the camera. Sorry if that, I don't know if you even saw that, but the moon in Scorpio, we're feeling this resistance, this resentment. It's opposite Venus and Jupiter. Like, don't let that kill a good thing that you've got going on right now. Because whether you like it or not, you've got a good thing going on right now. A lot of people have talked to me about like, oh, May's actually been really, really hard. And I agree. There's been a lot of hard things about May. I think a lot of that's like really Mars Rahu. But I think the other thing is that we are conditioned to only see the negative. That's just how we are as human beings. And I think it's really funny that people don't always see the positive. They don't see the good things that are going on in their life. And I don't want you to ignore, like really take, stock of what is good in your life right now compared to maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is. Because I think that moon opposite Venus and Jupiter is like, we're so connected to what we lack and what we don't have that we're not seeing, I'm a big Suicide Boys fan. I feel like you guys probably would have guessed that. And they came out with a song recently. Let me pull it up real quick. I forgot the exact title, but the title is, I really like the title. Are you going to see the rose in the vase or the dust on the table? That's how I look at this. And then the thing is, the moon goes straight into Sagittarius, boom, full moon. This is a full moon in Sag, which is ruled by Jupiter, which is conjoining Venus. Allow yourself to break free. Allow yourself to feel freedom. Again, this is kind of that moment where you're like, I can do this. I cannot focus on the negative, and let me actually just straight up dive straight into the fun. Full moon goes into Sagittarius. We're lighting up that Sagittarius Gemini axis. This will be important as Jupiter ingresses, as Venus ingresses. But a lot of this is the moon in Sagittarius is like, where are we going? Where are you going? Where is your point B? What are you actually excited for? Where is your vision here? And yes, Saturn's in Pisces, where again, we've had to do all this work here, but now we get to actually enjoy the vision part of it because we're doing that work, that inner work. So then full moon in Sagittarius, I think this is very exciting for a Thursday. Venus conjoins Jupiter at the same time. Again, it's just pure indulgence here. Like, I would say don't overdo it, but part of me is like, you're allowed to overdo it. Go ahead and bet it all on red, like whatever it is for you. Venus conjoining Jupiter, it's pretty fun. We don't get these too often, especially in the sign of like Taurus. Like, enjoy it. Like, go big or go home. Play a bigger game. Like, so many of you could play such a bigger game. You guys are playing so small because it's what you're safe with, but then you're upset about, the feedback that you get. You're like, I want more, but I only am going to play a little bit. I'm only going to play to this level. It's like, well, if you want more, you got to play at that more level. Play a bigger game. You are capable of doing it. You can do it. I don't know what to tell you about that. Venus and Jupiter sextile Neptune. Now, what I like about Neptune is, again, it's good for visionary stuff. It's good for dreams. It's good for, just woo-woo stuff in general. Again, what it's bad for is being clear about stuff, but a little bit of delusion helps here. I think as Neptune's in Pisces, it's also at 29 degrees, which I kind of have, like, I hate that Neptune's at 29 degrees this whole year, or at least it stations retrograde at 29 degrees. It stations retrograde at like 2950 or something like that. And then it goes into Aries next year, which is kind of like a huge wake-up call. But I think Venus conjoining Jupiter sextiling Neptune is kind of like, I don't want to say risk it for the biscuit, but like there's something, I think it just really adds like a nostalgia or a more fun. It's kind of like, remember when you're a kid and you did something as a kid, like let's say you're, like I remember as a kid, we had something called like a a crazy daisy, which is like you plug in the hose and it's like this styrofoam daisy that just springs water everywhere. That shit was the best. I loved that shit so much as a kid. I just ran around, screamed, got sprayed with water. And to me, it's such a like nostalgic thing. But I feel like if I was a parent, I saw that as just like stupid kid fucking run around with a stupid flower water. Like it's not that big of a deal. And I look at Neptune as like, it's okay to idealize a certain situation more than others. It's okay to have fond memories of something. It's okay to like, again, romanticize or idealize a certain situation. I think that's what's good for the Venus-Jupiter conjunction sextile Neptune is like, don't be afraid to idealize it. Don't be afraid to romanticize it. And then Venus ingresses into Gemini. More casino analogies. We're not getting drug analogies anymore. We're getting casino analogies, guys. That's your degenerate astrologer here. I always joke about Venus and Gemini and casinos. They're like, I have Venus and Gemini, and Venus is about fun and pleasure, and Venus and Gemini is like, yeah, it reminds me of like 1960s Vegas. It's like you go and dance, you go and like, swing a girl around, and then you smoke cigarettes inside, and there's all these lights, and there's all this, communication, and you have some cocktails. It's like, it's like fun via stimulation. It's fun through social connection. It's fun through information and stimulation through information. I think as Venus goes into Gemini, it's kind of like a whole new world. Gosh, I got to stop talking in memes, and I'm really yapping on this episode. But something that's been stuck in my head because it's been a stupid Instagram audio reel is for those that have watched The Princess Diaries. I grew up with a sister, so I had to watch. She was the older sister, so I had to watch all that shit. But there's this quote that's really popular, but it's like, "Welcome to Genovia," and I keep thinking of that like in almost every situation of my life. But Venus and Gemini is very like, "Welcome to Genovia," and it's kind of like dance music and everything's pretty and fun and it's very stimulating. Thursday is just a really epic day. It really is. And what I try to express to people is when you see this kind of stuff, what I love about astrology is like, let's take the meaning out of it for just a second. Let's take the meaning out of it just for a second. This begins the shift into a new zodiac sign. And this is why I'm calling this video something along the lines of there is a vibe shift. The vibe is shifting. How we attach meaning to that, again, is through the zodiac signs and through everything else and blah, 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 blah. But I think at a minimum, we could say the energy shifting here. And I think that starts on Thursday. So then we get to Friday. We have the moon in Sagittarius, first making a square to Saturn and trining Mars, essentially at the same time. This is a very, I don't want to say I don't like this transit, but it's very foot on the gas, foot on the brakes. And like the moon squaring Saturn in Sagittarius and in Pisces and then trining Mars, the best way to look at it is like full throttle, full brake. If you want to do a sick burnout, then that's probably what this energy is good for. Like you just want to look cool and create smoke but not go anywhere and stress yourself out. That would probably what this is useful for. The moon in Sag making a square to Pisces is like feeling excitement, feeling joyous of what is next, but knowing that like you have a boundary, you have inner resistance to it. It's easy to dream of a better scenario for your life. It's easy to think of these high expectations, but on the inside, you may not believe that. And I think you're going to get kind of a reality check on Friday where it's like, hey, just like earlier this week when the moon was in Scorpio trining Saturn and Pisces, it's like, all right, we need to do that internal work. This is also the internal work, but it looks like how much do you not let yourself enjoy things? How much do you not let yourself, dream bigger or play a bigger game? And that moon in Sag just coming off that full moon squaring Saturn is like, what the fuck? Like, I feel all this excitement, yet like I can't push myself to like go farther than this. And that's going to be a good indication. It's good information to figure out where that work is, where to push yourself a little bit more. But the moon is trining Mars. This isn't like I want to go faster or I want to do more, but I have this internal block, so I can't do anything. It's like, no, the moon's trining Mars. Like you're doing it no matter what. It's just a matter of like, can we also do the internal work of like letting ourselves dream big, letting ourselves have fun, letting ourselves, again, envision whatever it is that we're trying to do, whatever we're trying to enjoy. The moon trining Mars, while Mars is still near Rahu, is like, we're going fast. Like, buckle up. But that moon squaring Saturn is like, you're going to have that indicate. It's like, for example, I've done this so many times in my life where like I was in a very higher echelon situation that I felt no a part of. Like 2 years ago for my birthday, I went to Aspen for my for a steak dinner, and I looked like this. I have tattoos. I was wearing a Harley t-shirt. And if you've ever been to Aspen, Colorado in general is filled with vanilla white people. They're not even NPCs. They're kind of NPCs, but they're very vanilla. And Aspen's money. Aspen is huge, huge, huge money. I was there at the same time as the like national security conference. Didn't know about this, but like Condoleezza Rice was there. It was some huge national security like meeting where all the, you know, big lizard people, you know, talk about, you know, how to spend more military industrial complex money. I'm walking in there and all the girls are wearing sundresses. All the guys are wearing like boat shoes, shorts, and like button-ups. And I'm wearing like, I just look like a degenerate. Like I look like a motorcycle rider. And we sat next to this couple, and this couple was a straight up lizard people. The older gentleman, she must have had $20,000 worth of fashion on her. I mean, it was Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and it was like not like, oh, this is like, you know, like some, you know, poor person trying to look like they're rich. Like this was like nice stuff. And they're sitting there talking about Jake Sullivan's children as if they know the guy personally. And I didn't even like talk at all there. I just listened to them of like, who are these lizard people I'm sitting next to? They're probably not lizard people. I just like calling them that. It's easier. But it was one of those situations where I felt very like, I'm worthy of being at nice restaurants in places like Aspen, but there was this kind of like conditioning I had of like, well, my beliefs are having this resistance to an increase in more. And that's how I kind of look at that moon square Saturn as like, you might get a situation where you are in a more fruitful, more bountiful situation, but you're checking in and being like, why am I resistant to this? Or why do I feel not worthy of this? Or why do I feel like this is scary? Or that like you're kind of, you know, dragged down by it. That's what Friday's like, but the moon's trining Mars. You're still going to do it anyway. So it's more so just like check in, challenge that feeling, and move forward. We get to Saturday. We got more highlights on Saturday. Saturday, the moon will be in Sagittarius and it will square Neptune. Then it will ingress into Capricorn. Then we have our first highlight, which is Venus making a trine to Pluto. And our second highlight, Jupiter ingresses into Gemini. If you haven't watched my Jupiter and Gemini video yet, you need to watch it. Jupiter and Gemini is going to be really important. I'm kind of yapping on this video. You guys got all butthurt when I made a shorter video. And this one's now going to be really long. So this is what you get. But I think Jupiter and Gemini is important because Uranus is going to enter Gemini. This is setting us up for what Uranus and Gemini is going to be about. And I think there's a lot of resistance that we're in, like this rebellion that we're going to see to a lot of technology stuff. I don't know how that's going to look, but look at Uranus and Taurus. When Uranus ingressed into Taurus was like when we saw the, like veganism was already been around for a long time, but we saw this kind of like, you know, more in pop culture, people going vegan, like a fruitarian, or people just eat fucking fruits and then, you know, pretty much lose all their muscle mass. We saw the fake meat rise, and then that turned into people being like, I don't want to do vegan, I'm going to do carnivore. We saw that exact contrast, and, you know, people getting into regenerative farming and permaculture, and, you know, now everyone's like, you know, we need more walkable spaces, and, you know, we need clean air. And I know that was a thing before, but it's like Uranus and Taurus is really this revolution of value in food and the ground. Like more people are concerned about eating organic nowadays than they were in 2015. Like versus 2015, everything was kind of like, you know, whatever. But now people are very specific about that. There was this like resistance and this liberation when it came to food. Uranus and Gemini is going to do that same thing. And Jupiter going into Gemini is going to tee us up. And Jupiter and Gemini, if you watch my video, is like, I think we're going to get some sort of information that is like, oh, this is what this is about. Social impact bond markets where, you know, big hedge funds are placing bets on our social credit scores and then, you know, creating situations for us that are like not organic for us to make certain actions on. And then we get shorted our own stock and people profit. There's a Family Guy meme, Parker, put this Family Guy meme up there. But it's like, don't look into social impact bond markets. Worst mistake of my life. But anyway, that might be sort of the vibe here. I'm kind of yapping, but let me go on back to this stuff. The moon is in Sagittarius, making a square to Neptune. The thing is, we have our visions. We have our trail in our head. We have the path laid out in front of us. But the moon squaring Neptune it's going to look a little bit different. And you have to be open to what it looks like. It's not going to look exactly the way that you think it will. There will be things that will be exact, but not everything will be. And you have to be open to what it looks like. And you have to also acknowledge when you have it. When the moon then ingresses into Capricorn, what I like about this is like, all right, let's get grounded. Let's get serious. Back to work on a Saturday. And of course, that will continue to Sunday and Monday. But we also have Venus in Gemini making a trine to Pluto. This is interesting. Venus in Gemini trining Pluto is, it almost reminds me of, Well, let's put on our tinfoil hats for a second. So we all know about the Vegas shooting that happened in 2017. Whatever happened with that, by the way, there is a conspiracy that Stephen Pat. I don't believe this. If you actually look into the Vegas shooting, it's way crazier. Stephen Paddock probably didn't do that by himself because like literally physics. But Stephen Paddock. There is a conspiracy that he got into gambling debt with people of like the mob and the mafia, and this was his I don't want to say how they repaid him, but like they forced him to do this. There's like a theory about that. Venus and Gemini trining Pluto and Aquarius reminds me of like you're a degenerate gambler, and you can only go to a loan shark now for your money to go and gamble. That's what it reminds me of. Is like. Venus and Gemini is like, I want to have all this fun, but I want access to power or powerful people or powerful groups of people. And so you can look at that more on like a actual level, like more so of like, I'm having a lot of fun and I'm making these powerful connections with people that are around me, with my friends, with my networks. I think that is what's fun about Venus and Jupiter and Gemini is this is kind of exploring connections and communications. And this is Venus. This is about fun. So again, socializing, connecting with people, and Venus trining Pluto is like, damn, these people are actually really cool, or they have a lot of influence, or they have a lot of power, and that could help me in X, Y, and Z situation. And then Jupiter enters Gemini. Like, I really think we see the majority of it next week when we have all the other or not next week, the week after that. But Jupiter's in Gemini. I usually give transits like this, like 20 to 30 days before and 20 to 30 days after to really kind of show itself. But Jupiter in Gemini is essentially expanding a part of your chart, whatever Gemini rules. Jupiter's going into your 8th house. You might get a big loan. You might get some sort of inheritance, whatever that is. Jupiter is going to expanding somewhere. It's in detriment though. The issue with Jupiter and Gemini is being like, oh, I have gained more information and now I don't know what to believe. That's the issue with Jupiter and Gemini. And I got a comment. I really stopped reading comments, but I think it's funny when people are like, oh my God, Cameron, you're so negative. This video is so negative. Just because I'm not a silly astrologer that says Jupiter and Gemini is going to be amazing. It's going to be about abundance and everyone's going to meet their twin flame. It's like, if you don't say that, you're a negative astrologer, which is just like fucking so corny and dumb. Like, come on, it's 2024. Like, we're all adults here. Are we really going to do that? So anyway, Jupiter and Gemini is not bad, but the idea is Jupiter is about abundance and it's the greater benefic, but it's not in a sign that it does that well in. So like, I'm just fucking, I don't make the hot dogs. I'm just fucking selling them here. I didn't make up the meaning of Jupiter and Gemini. It's been around for a long time. So that's my Seinfeld impression. So anyway, Jupiter and Gemini is going to be giving us some more information. It's going to be expanding an area of our house, an area of our lives, depending on what house Gemini rules. But there's a part of it that's like, oh, now like this is, and it's more information based too, but it's like, now I don't know what to believe. Now I'm not sure how things are. And I like it. What I like it for too is, the last time Jupiter went to Gemini for me, it made me question my beliefs in a good way. Like at the time, I think it was like 16 and I started dating this girl. Like, and it was finally like a relationship that I was like, oh my, like it was, I'm fucking 16, like give me a break here. But it was like before I had all these like shitty beliefs about love and relationships and all that stuff. And I finally like, found someone at the time. She ended up breaking my heart. Oh, but there we go, Jupiter and Gemini. But at the time, it was very like, oh, this is fun. This is nice. Like maybe I can have love in my life. Maybe I can date a woman in my life. Like, when you're a 16-year-old boy, it's just kind of like, oh my God, like, am I ever going to, get laid or anything like that? That's kind of the vibe when you're a 16-year-old boy. But Jupiter and Gemini, it made me question my beliefs in a positive way because I got information that challenged that. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means you are going to get information that challenges your beliefs. Maybe that's just your stupid, shitty beliefs that fucking suck anyway. Then we get to Sunday. I've been yapping for a long time here. Sunday, the moon will be in Capricorn, making a trine to Mercury, and it'll sextile Saturn, and it'll square Mars. Okay. Slow and steady wins the race here. The moon, while it's in Capricorn, making a trine to Mercury, is again crossing your T's, dotting your I's. It's sextiling Saturn. We're doing that work. But the moon squaring Mars while it's in Capricorn and Mars in Aries is like, hey, like we're not going to go as fast as maybe you wanted to, but that's okay. On Sunday, like we're not going to be going that fast. We can go fast a little bit later. But for right now, we just kind of have to do the work that's in front of us, take it a little bit slow and get a little bit more grounded, especially because there's all of this air stuff going on this week. So next week, we have Mars conjoining Chiron and Mercury conjoining Uranus. Not the biggest week next week, but I still think what is big about next week is still dealing with the ramifications of this past week. We saw Venus and Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini, all of this new stuff going on. So that's what I got for you guys this week. If you haven't checked out my new song, Soundwave Superior, check it out. It's pretty much my favorite song that I have. I have more songs coming out, but this one I fucking really, really like. I'm very, very proud of this song. Check it out for me. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, make sure you like it. It does actually help me out, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be seeing you guys next week.